Are you making this six-figure mistake on your auto accident policy? We're going to find out on this week's Monday Morning Lawyer. Good morning, everybody. It is Jobeth Bowers, your Elkton, your Cecil County accident and injury attorney, coming at you from my Elkton office here. And I want to talk about what could potentially be a six-figure mistake that you probably don't even know that you're making on your auto insurance policy. Now, this is an extension of conversations that we've had on past episodes of the podcast. So if you need to be brought up to speed on every element of the insurance policy and things that you need to have, check those past episodes, and later we'll give you the kind of the roadmap on where to find other episodes. I want to talk about a relatively newer law in the state of Maryland with respect to auto insurance that has actually evolved over the past 5 or 6 years. It is a concept called enhanced underinsured motorist coverage. The key word and what you will see if you look on your insurance policy is that word enhanced with respect to the uninsured motorist coverage. If you remember from previous episodes, we talked about what uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage is. That is the way that your auto insurance policy protects you if you're in a serious accident and the driver that causes the accident does not have sufficient insurance to cover your injuries. My office deals with hundreds and hundreds of very serious injury cases, surgery cases, permanent injuries, and the number one limiting factor when it comes to how much we are able to resolve these cases for tends to be insurance coverage limits. We're not going to go into detail here because there's plenty of talk on it in the past episodes, so please check those out. But when we buy insurance in amounts, dollar amounts, and you'll see that on what's called the declaration page. So do all other drivers out there. And when you get hit by another driver, they've caused that accident, they've caused you severe injury. Sometimes the only money we can receive, at least from the insurance company of the other driver, is the limit of that insurance policy. For the purposes of this conversation, it does not matter what their insurance limit is. The next step, as long as it's not enough to cover the claim, because you can get as little as $30,000 worth of coverage per person. And let's do the math. If you take an ambulance to the emergency room and you get, just that, x-rays that there, you're almost at $5,000 already. Several months of physical therapy. It is not uncommon in a non-life-threatening accident, non-surgical accident, for the medical bills to accumulate to $20,000 or $30,000. If they're $20,000 or $30,000 worth of bills, and the insurance policy is only $30,000, what's left for you? Well, we've talked about uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage in the past. And here's the tricky thing. This is where the mistake comes in. And I need you to go and I need you to just take a quick look at your insurance policy in that declarations page and scroll down to the uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage and see if it says enhanced. The difference between enhanced and not enhanced is tremendous. Even if you have a minimum limits $30,000 policy, you basically don't have underinsured motorist coverage if you get hit by a driver in Maryland. If you get hit by somebody who has $30,000 worth of coverage and you have regular underinsured motorist coverage of $30,000, that cancels itself out. Because if you have the regular underinsured motorist coverage, your insurance company, when you try to make that claim, is going to get the benefit of whatever the at-fault driver's insurance company has paid out or has offered to pay out. So if you only have 30 and they have 30, they're going to get credit for that 30 and you're going to get nothing. It's like not having the policy. It's like not having the coverage. In fact, when this legislation was argued and passed in Annapolis, that was the argument. People are paying for coverage that they effectively do not have. If you have $100,000 and the other driver has $100,000 and they offer the 100, your company on the old regular uninsured motorist coverage, your company pays nothing. Here's where the policy does come into play. In the old system, in the original, which most people driving still have, because these insurance companies are not required to offer it to you unless you're changing or starting a new policy. So if you don't get a new vehicle, you don't get a new policy, you don't get that offer unless you ask for it. And you can ask for it at any time. I would put down the phone or pause this and call your insurance agent right now and say, do I have enhanced underinsured motorist coverage? If you don't have an insurance agent, get one, because it doesn't cost you anything more, and you really shouldn't be buying your policy online. I know it's super convenient, but the people that we see buying policies online are where we see the highest percentage of mistakes that only hurt them. Sure, you might save $5 or $6 a year, but we've talked about it extensively, the little things that make a big difference. So if the other driver has that minimum limits policy, $30,000 in Maryland, and you have underinsured motorist coverage of $100,000, you will be able to get in a severe accident. So we're not going to talk about the specific value, just assume that it's worth more than what we're talking about insurance-wise. You'll get the $30,000 from the at-fault driver's insurance company, and then up to $70,000 more from your insurance company, because you have $100,000 in coverage and they get credit for the 30 that's already been paid, or at least has been offered. If you have the enhanced version of this policy, this is what you want. And sure, it's going to cost you $10, $20 more every year, but not having it could be a six-figure mistake. If the other driver has $100,000 in coverage, causes a severe accident, you get a surgery, you have lengthy treatment, broken bones or otherwise, permanent injuries perhaps. If you have the enhanced coverage and they have 100 and offer it, we can get up to whatever the limit of your enhanced policy is. It could be another 100. It could be another $250,000. It might even be, although I certainly don't recommend it, I think I've made that very, very clear on this podcast, you might even have the state minimum. But at least if it's enhanced, you can get that in addition to. It stacks on top effectively of that first paying policy. So take a look at your insurance policy. Even if you buy through an agent, you probably have access to that online on your phone, something of that nature. Take a look and call your agent. Can I get enhanced underinsured motorist coverage? The answer to that question has to be yes. The question's only going to be what the cost is. So the quotes that I have seen, the scenarios that I have explored with various companies, it's very, very reasonable. You might be talking about $30, $40 at most dollars a year to add that coverage. And trust me, if you need it, you will thank me for having read this and followed my guidance. That's all the time I have for today. If you have something that you want discussed, question for this podcast, info@bowerslawmd.com. That is what we are here for. As I mentioned before, if you want to see those past episodes of the podcast, go to bowerslawmd.com. Right up here on top where it says podcast, you're going to find all of those previous episodes. They're just right in there. I believe they're even searchable. That's all I have the time for this week. Be safe out there. Be well. Check that insurance policy. See if you have that enhanced coverage. If you don't, or if it's unclear, call your insurance agent and get clarification. Thanks. We'll see you next week.